Hey guys, welcome back to our channel, Cook and Bake with Siri. Today we're going to be making a delicious recipe, and this recipe is none other than Snickerdoodle cookies. These are such a delicious type of cookies, and they're one of my favorites. And so yeah, this is a simple recipe, so let's get started. So for this recipe, you're going to be needing 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, some cinnamon sugar, and for the cinnamon sugar I just mixed 1/4 of a cup of sugar and about 1 teaspoon of cinnamon together, and you have your cinnamon sugar. And then you'll also be needing 1/2 cup of butter, 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of lemon juice, or if you have cream of tartar you can use that, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, or if you don't have that, you can use honey, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So to start off our delicious recipe, we're gonna first grab a mixing bowl, and we're gonna put our 1/2 cup of butter in here, and you wanna mix or whisk this up until it's nice and fluffy. You also want to make sure that your butter is room temperature so that it's easy to whisk and easily cream together. Okay, so now once our butter is nice and creamed up, just like that, you want it to be really airy and fluffy so that your cookies come out really nice and soft and chewy. And so now our next step is to add our vanilla extract, and if you don't have that, you can totally just use honey. And now you're just going to mix all of that together. You've got your butter and vanilla extract all mixed up together and fluffy and airy and ready to go. The next step is to add your 1/2 cup of sugar. Once you've added your 1/2 cup of sugar, you're going to give this a good whisk and mix it until it's nice, light, and fluffy. Okay, so the next step for this recipe is you're going to need to add your 1.5 cup of all-purpose flour, and you want to sift all of your ingredients to make sure that you get like a nice and like sifted cookie, and you don't really want a lumpy cookie. So now we're going to start sifting all of our dry ingredients. So we have 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour, our cinnamon, salt, baking soda, and yeah, we're just going to sift all of that, and I'll see you once we're done. First, we're going to sift our all-purpose flour. Once you're done sifting your all-purpose flour, you're going to start sifting your cinnamon. And then once you're done sifting your cinnamon, you're going to sift your baking soda. And you really want to sift your baking soda because sometimes baking soda forms lumps, and you do not want baking soda lumps in your cookies. So it's a great idea to really sift your baking soda. And then your salt. And then you're done sifting your dry ingredients. Now that we're done sifting all of our dry ingredients, we're going to give this a good mix. Okay, so you want to make sure that your dough is all good, but you want to also make sure that it's not too sticky, that it's when you put it on your hands, it's sticking, but you also want to make sure that it's nice and soft and really dense so that it's not too hard, because Snickerdoodles are all about that chewy and nice texture, so you don't want to have it too thick, or you don't want to have it too sticky either. So make sure that if you need any more flour, you're adding that in. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of flour just because my dough is just a bit sticky, and you don't even want to add that much. It's the slightest bit, just a couple sprinkles of it. Yeah, so then you're just going to mix that in, and that is if you added your flour. So now the next step of our delicious recipe is to start on our balls of dough. I rested my dough in the fridge for about 20-ish minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, so that when your cookie just turns out that much better. And I'm literally just taking an ice cream scoop, and I'm just scooping some batter into my, dough. You just scoop that into your hands. You make a nice little ball Doesn't have to be a perfect shape because once they're in the oven, they spread out nicely. So yeah. And then you're just gonna toss your ball of dough in your cinnamon sugar. I transferred it to a bigger bowl so that it would be easier. And you just toss your dough in the cinnamon sugar. And your dough is very soft, so be careful with it. And try not to put too much pressure into it because that can make it really sticky. And so it'll look like that, super easy. Just toss it around in your cinnamon sugar, and then you can leave it out till you want to put it in the oven. Okay guys, so I finished making all of our balls of dough, and now our next step is to take our baking sheet, and I just line this with a piece of parchment paper. You can just spray your cooking sheet with some cooking spray. You could use aluminum foil. I find that parchment paper works best for me, so I'm going to be using that. Now I'm just going to be taking my balls of dough, and I'm going to be spreading them out. You don't want to give them too much of a gap, but you still want to give them somewhat of a gap. You can also spread them down just a bit with your finger because they will spread out themselves. So you can just give them a slight tap so that they are not too sticky. And for this baking sheet, I'm fitting 4 cookies. My shapes of dough are a bit big, but that depends on the size that your balls of dough are. Mine are a bit big than others might be, so I can only fit 4, and my baking sheet is a little small, so yeah. And then you're gonna preheat your oven to 350 degrees, and you're gonna slide these in. Okay guys, so our oven is done preheating, and I preheated this to 350 degrees, and now we're gonna slide our cookies in. Okay guys, so the cookies just came out of the oven. I have left them in there for about 15 minutes, and yes, the oven was preheated to 350 degrees, and they came out awesome. They taste superb and delicious. They look great too. This batch makes about 12 to 14 cookies depending on the size, and they look awesome, and they taste awesome too, and they have a great chewiness and a great texture. And yeah, that's it for this video.